Hello, TCI family and Jonathan's Refuge, all of the different refuges, the Marysville Jonathan's Refuge, the Arlington Jonathan's Refuge, our men's home, our women's home. Welcome, everybody. Our followers, we love you. Our faithful friends and donors, we love you very much. Let's get right into the meeting as we always do so we can stay precise and on point. We've been going through a series that I've been doing. If you grew up in the church world of the Christian faith, there's a thing in the Bible called the fruits of the Spirit, the 12 fruits of the Spirit, if you will. And if, as an inclusionist, we believe that all faiths are the same, speaking the same thing, which is love from God. But unfortunately, we as man mess up our spiritual world by manipulating it, and we put things in books that are sacred, like the Bible and the Quran, and things that are actually some hatred messages and things like that in there. But if you look at all the faiths, they all have the fruit of the spirits in different versions in different ways, and they all come back to the same thing. So I've kind of been doing a series. Last week we were talking about hope, and the week before that we did peace, and the week before that we did joy. I always put an underscore on this one, joy, because if you guys are interested in how to become successful in business, financially, and prosperous, you better pay attention to that joy one. That was actually taught by some of the, they're on the top 100 of the richest billionaires in America. And they were some good friends of mine. And so they taught me some really interesting little tips that people don't know that to become successful. And success doesn't mean rich in money, by the way. It means being the best at what you do, and nobody can do it better, that you are a success, okay? And then we started this all with kindness and winning. Can you be kind and still win? So we've been going through this series kind of, and we're now talking about a subject called self-control. Oh boy, you guys are like, wait a second. JB, you talking about self-control? Yeah, I know it's me talking about self-control, but it's an interesting topic. There's an unknown person who said this: if you do not conquer self, you will be conquered by self. We must learn to conquer ourself. And I like Robert Burns, what he said: prudence, cautious, self-control is wisdom's root. So if people always say, I want to be wise, I wish I was wiser, I would like to be wise someday. Well, if you want to be wise or wiser or wise someday, you need to start with being prudent, cautious, self-control. These are three terms that you need to follow, and they're all under the title of self-control. Because if you can't control yourself, well, the latter is not going to happen. A man named King Solomon was one of the wisest men on earth. Solomon was the son of King David, an Israelite from the country of Israel. If you guys ever heard the story of David and Goliath, right? The giant, the little kid who killed him with a slingshot. All right. His son, David, became king, and then his son, King Solomon, became the king. And he was Bathsheba's son, and David, the king of Israel. Solomon is known as one of the wisest men of all times. He wrote a couple books that are in the Bible. One of them is called the Book of Proverbs, and it's 31 chapters of wisdom. And it's something that myself and many other millions and billions of people around the world use on a daily basis. This book, the Book of Proverbs, to run companies, to build ourselves, to build our companies, to build nonprofits, to build profit corporations. The wisdom in the Book of Proverbs is mind-boggling. And if you're in business and you're trying to become more successful, it's a book you need to read on a daily basis, just one chapter a day. If today's the 7th, you read the 7th chapter for today. It's really easy to do because there's 31 chapters in the book. Here's what he said, Proverbs 29, verse 11. He says, a fool gives full vent, meaning you let full throttle, full vent to his spirit. But a wise man quietly holds back. You know those people, the ones that just can't shut their mouth. They have to tell everything to everybody, including what's coming in their mind. They just shoot it out. You're like, oh my gosh, did that person just say that? Yeah, they have no self-control. You don't understand. This is going to happen. And so-and-so did this and so-and-so did that. Man, if you ever want to know what's going on in a church, you just find the little old sweet ladies who are, they're not gossiping, by the way. They would say we're discussing different people in the church so that we can pray for them. Pray for them. You gossiping old biddies. That's what they were. and they couldn't stop talking. Okay. And whatever comes out of their brain, they just spit it out. They have no self-control over their lips. And that's what the next verse is from King Solomon. He says in chapter 18, verse 6 through 7, listen to this. A fool's lips walk him into a fight. Do you know how many fights I've been in? I can tell you, we stopped counting at 300. So I've been in hundreds and hundreds of fights. And my mouth in the beginning walked me into a good portion of those. So a fool's lips walk him into a fight, and his mouth invites a beating. A fool's mouth is his ruin, and his lips are a trap, are a snare to his soul. Wow. Let me ask you a question. Do your lips get you in trouble? Because mine sure have in my life. I've been stabbed over here. I've been stabbed down here. I've been stabbed in a lot of places. And a lot of those stabbings, I ain't going to lie to you. This mouth, these lips got me that because I didn't learn self-control. In my business career, I made millions. Everyone knows that. And I kind of had my fame in that world that I was in. And what's interesting is people think that I'm a quick draw guy. In many respects, flies off the hips, shoots and draws. He's always gunning and running. And that's all truthfully true. But what you don't really pay attention to is how much self-control I actually have. See, you can move fast. Self-control doesn't mean you're slow. I got a friend, and it takes him about 6 months to do any major decisions in his life. He moves so slow, and he calls it being cautious. You can be fast and cautious because I am so cautious. But I also know how to move fast once I'm sure that it's the right move, and I'm sure that it's the right plan. And I've consulted the mentors. I have the self-control to not do something. You see, when you climb mountains like I do and people come with you and your life, their life is in your hands, that's a serious matter. So when I'm taking a person up on a mountain, one of the things that you'll hear my wife, God bless her. Hi, honey, I love you. One of the things she'll tell people all the time when they say, why do you let him climb a mountain with his heart and all those problems? He's going to die. You shouldn't let him do anything. And you know what she tells them? My husband will pull a trip in 2 seconds flat if he knows it's not the right moment to do it because he's cautious. He has self-control. Now, I wish I had self-control my whole life. It's taken me 48 years to get where I'm at, and I still know I'm not there. Trust me, if you meet me on the freeway and you cut me off, you will see how fast my self-control is not all together. Okay. But over the years, it's gotten better. I no longer chase you home when you cut me off, and I no longer smash your window and drag you out of it. I no longer do those things because I learned that, remember, what did he say? A fool's lips walks him into a fight and his mouth gets him a beating. Yeah, okay, I didn't get too many beatings, right? No, I did. Yeah, I was a tough guy and I broke a lot of other people's bones, but I got half of my body's bones have been broken. And that's because of all the fighting in this mouth and these lips. And so we need to learn to sometimes not say so much. Sometimes saying less is more. Do you have self-control? Can you know a thing and not tell a person? You know, as a archbishop of an organization that has bishops and pastors and reverends and people all over the globe that work under our organization, our group, I have to lead them. And I hear lots of things. I hear parishioners, confessions, people talking about all their problems, and you can't talk about it. You know, we take an oath to keep that and take it to the grave with us. And so it's a vow that we really, really, really take serious. Now, my criminal days, we did the same thing, same oath. It was just for criminal activities. And we took that oath serious to know where the bodies lie, but never say a thing. Or they called it not ratting them out. Okay. Can you be cautious? Prudence. Can you have self-control? Those are all good questions. Here's something I wrote a long time ago. I saw it in a message and I kind of wrote it in a little version, but in essence, here's what the message said. Self-control is the act of, listen to this, discarding your weaker thoughts. Hear this. This is the key of this message. Self-control is the act of discarding your weaker thoughts. The same thoughts that drag you down. That's what self-control is. And doubling down on your positive and good actions. So let's read that fast. Self-control is the act of discarding your weaker thoughts, the same thoughts that drag you down, and doubling down on your positive and good actions. So do you have the self-control to discard your negative thoughts? What do you have that's negative? Listen, I used to be somebody, in my opinion, right? You'll hear me say that all the time. I used to be somebody. And every once in a while, you'll be with me, and we'll be in the mountains. I was in the mountains just a couple weeks ago, and I'm walking down a hill, and someone's like, Jonathan Brand? Oh, my gosh. They're hugging me, and I'm like, I don't know who this person is. And the guys with me are like, you know him? And he's like, you know him? You're so lucky to know this guy. He's like famous, and they're telling him all this stuff. And I'm sorry, I got some hair stuck on my face from can't get it off of me. So this guy recognized me nowhere. So here's where I'm getting at with this, is that I thought I always tell it, I thought I used to be somebody. And in some respect I did. Okay. And my thoughts sometimes would be like, you used to be somebody. I mean, now you're nobody. And it can get you down. The second that thought pops in my head, here's what I do with it. I just dump it right there. I have the self-control to take that thought and not entertain it. I used to think I was ugly. And now, man, look at this. Mwah, mwah. I got that from a gal who taught me you got to learn to love yourself. Every once in a while, give yourself a kiss on the hand. Tell yourself you love yourself. Look in the mirror and say, you're beautiful. Do you guys remember we talked about it in one of the messages? I actually was 450 pounds, and I had to find myself beautiful first at 450 before I could lose all the weight and be in love with the person that I had molded and become. And so self-control has a lot more to do with getting rid of our weaker thoughts. I lost all 280 pounds with self-control. Can you not eat bread again? My friend didn't think he could. He's done it, and he's lost 35 some odd pounds because he has self-control. I created a diet, showed him this path, gave him the steps, went to the store, showed him how not to do it, did all the stuff. You know, you're talking to a guy who's got multiple degrees. I had one of those in nutrition, explained the science behind it, told him what we need to do, did it, weight's gone. Self-control plays a role in that. Oh, you don't understand, I'm busy. Folks, you're talking to the wrong guy to use that kind of an excuse. I run so many companies, and I have so many organizations that I have to talk to and deal with, and the issues and the ramifications are always a crisis. We've got one of our clients, at all times there's a client in crisis. At all times there's somebody moving in and out of the refuges. At all times there's something crazy going on. There's a need. There's a house that has to get purchased. There's a car that we got to get. There's something at all times happening. And so you've got to learn that with all the stress, you can't use that as an excuse. Well, that's why I'm going to go eat fast food at night. I don't have time to cook food. Hogwash. If you want to lose weight, you can do it if you choose to. I'll show you how to do it. It's easy to do. The hard part is having the self-control to do it. And so self-control, I love that, because when I was looking back to my notes on one of my messages on this topic, it's about controlling those weaker thoughts. And then it tells you, let's double down on the good ones. Hey, you're a good looking fella. Say that multiple times throughout the day until you start to believe it. You say, that's just semantics. Yeah, well, the semantics made me a fortune and made me successful. And they made everyone else that used them. Words matter. If you keep telling yourself you're ugly, you're going to buy into that. If you keep telling yourself I'm a loser, I'm an ex-con, I'm a sex offender, I'm a murderer, I'm a overweight drug addict, I'm a prostitute, I'm a drunk. If that's all you're going to ever try to acknowledge, then that's all you're ever going to be. Out of your mouth, you will speak from the abundance of your heart. So what's in your heart will come flowing out of your mouth. So if all you're speaking is I'm ugly, I'm bad, I'm mean, I'm this, that's coming out of your heart. You've got to change what's in your heart, and that's the self-control to get rid of the negative speaking. You have to have the self-control to do that. And this is basic 101. Once you get past this basic understanding of self-control, then you got to get this thing into many aspects. You go ask my wife. She does stuff all the time. And I'm like, oh, my Lord, I just want to tell her what's wrong with you, woman. But I'm smart. I have self-control. I don't want to die. So I don't go and do that. She just walked by in the studio here when we were talking. And so it's funny because you have to have self-control. There's things you want to say. She wants to tell me sometimes some stuff, and she's like, I'm going to have self-control. Your job. You ever notice you never get a pay raise or you never get a promotion? It's probably got a lot to do with self-control. Are you the person who can control yourself and not drink at a company's party? I love to have a nice fine whiskey or a beautiful red wine with dinner. I enjoy that from time to time. But are you the person who can't go to the party? See, I've been to a company party before. I had a couple too many cocktails and didn't have self-control. And then what happened? Someone mouthed off, and next thing you know, there's me flattening the guy out. No self-control cost me a promotion. Didn't matter that I was the highest in sales in that company. It didn't matter any of the details of what I accomplished. What they remembered was I couldn't control myself about a guy who was out of line speaking crap about my partner at the time. Well, guess what? Had I controlled myself, I would have got that job. That job would have paid me almost $800,000. I would have gone from about $400,000 to a doubling my income by self-control. So who was the fool? The man who defended his wife's honor? Or the man who could have kept his mouth shut and said, you're out of line? I'd appreciate it if you walk away and you take your wife and you turn and you walk away. Had I done that and have self-control, I'd have had $400,000 extra on an annual basis. So when it comes to self-control, do we have friends that we've lost? Family members who won't be around us? A lot of times it has to do with self-control, but you just don't understand it. Well, we do. And as I close this message, I want to tell you about a man who understands this very well. And his name was Gautama Buddha. That was his actual name. Gautama Buddha, the Buddha, said, the person who masters himself through self-control and discipline is truly undefeatable. Let that sink in. The person who masters himself through self-control and discipline is truly undefeatable. It's the first time in my life that it seems like everything's aligned. Nothing's easy. You can ask my assistant who's with me on a daily basis. Today was one of the most struggling days I have ever had in a few decades. It was brutal. It was a day that honestly, I had all the thoughts. Just go back to bed. You have health problems. This is what you need to do. Just walk away, go back to sleep, because it's you have the legitimate excuse. Just close it down. Again, the thoughts come in. I have self-control, and put those negative thoughts down and say no, because I am successful. I am loved. I am beautiful. I am amazing. I am the man for this job. I am the woman for this job. You walk in my bathroom, and I don't have it memorized. That's why I actually put it up there. I used to have it memorized until my stroke. But Dr. Norman Vincent Peale had a daily affirmation he gave me, and it's sitting on our mirror. And that daily affirmation tells me that my day is going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. And I read it every day. And my wife reads it every day. People that come to my house, they read it every single day. Because if we get rid of the bad thought and we keep the good thought, that's self-control. And then what happens is you start doubling down. And that's what that message was. You double down on the good. I am a conversationalist. I am a good person. I am. Find your positive. Double down on it. Double down on it. Go do good. Go bless somebody. Go give to someone and you don't benefit from it. I don't make $1 off of the refuge. My wife and me make zero money off of that. None. And we give more of our time to that organization than almost all of them combined. Why? Because we believe if we double down on our people and we show them we love them and we show them they can do it, and then we can show them a path that they'll look at and say, hey, I can do this. Like one of our men who's becoming a partner of ours in a firm. Convict trucking, baby. Choo choo, coming on down the road. That man had self-control. Most people told him, don't do it. You're not going to, you're an ex-con. You're never going to do this. That man is now a business partner of a trucking company because he had self-control. So you can lose a lot in your life by not having self-control. And as I wrap it up here, I want you to think of what the Buddha said. Are you mastering yourself? Are you mastering your self-control and your discipline? because it takes discipline. I don't want to go up another mountain next weekend, but I'm going and I'm training. My big season mountains are done until the winter comes. I'm kind of in this intermediate thing. It's frustrating. I just want to get up on the mountains. But between now and then, I'll just train, and I'll train hard because I'm disciplined. I know what it takes to get to the top. And you got to work hard and be disciplined and have self-control. Can you get up and go work out and do the miles with no one watching? If there's $100,000 on the table and your friend tells you to watch it for a year, is it the same serial numbers, or did you go and use it, make some money, and come back and put it on there? It's still $100,000, but can you self-control those things? These are questions you need to ask yourself. Can you have ice cream in your fridge and not eat it? There was a time I couldn't. I got so depressed. If there was a gallon ice cream in there, I ate the whole gallon ice cream. I didn't even bring a bowl. That's how I got so fat. And I had to stop it because it was killing me. I didn't want to lose weight to look sexy. I was sexy. I felt sexy. I was sexy. I am Mr. Sexy. Remember, I told you it was SSB, Sexy Successful Beast. I had a nickname. And then I finally became that sexy, successful beast. But I had to believe it first. I had to fall in love with myself. I had to have self-control to squash those thoughts. I had to have discipline, like the Buddha said, to climb out. So help yourself by having self-control. Look into your life. Where do you need more self-control? Is it going out with friends to a bar? Is it having people with you at a shopping store to make sure you don't buy too much? There's no shame in that. There's no shame in that at all. There's 2 stores that I won't go to without someone with me because I'll drop thousands. I'll be like, yeah, I got a card. Here's 20 grand on that one. Ring it up. I just don't. I love the stuff they sell, and it's some of the things that I love to do. And I'm just like, yeah. So what do I do when I go to those 2 stores? I only go with my wife because I know I'll keep myself balanced. Not that I need my wife to tell me no. I don't need anyone to tell me no. Me and my wife don't have that relationship. Each one of us do what we want to do and live the best version of ourselves. But I won't go without her. I have that parameter. I set it up. I have self-control to know at those 2 stores, I'm going to drop some Benjis a lot. And so you need to look at what is it in your life that you need that self-control with. I love you guys. I always go a couple minutes past the 20, 15 to 20 is what we try to keep our messages at. So this week, get out there, right? Let's coexist. Let's live positive. But as we live positive, let's live positively through finding that self-control and the discipline to better ourselves so that we can become the best version of who God meant us to be. I love you guys.